All right, let's get to the Star Mechanical guest line today. As we do on the first Tuesday of every month, we welcome in former Oiler and Sportsnet analyst Luke Gazdic. Gaz, you just heard us talking about Philip Broberg trade possibilities. One, you can tell the Oilers haven't played now in about 4 days or 5 days because we're talking about Philip Broberg trade possibilities. But what do you make of this whole situation here? I just said there's no fit for him on this team right now.
Yeah, it's tough because he's probably a good kid. And I actually don't think he's gotten like the best opportunity. I think most times when he was in, even when you played him with Matthias Ekholm, sticking a young player in the NHL on his offside, making him play the right side when he's receiving everything on his backhand, you have to make every play with your peripheral. That's no joke, especially in the NHL when some of these forechecking teams are unbelievable, like Carolina coming in. But listen, at the same time, he really hasn't proven to be an everyday valuable NHL defenseman. I think we saw flashes in preseason. I think it just shows how different preseason is than everything else. But he had a couple games in preseason. I remember that Kraken game. I remember coming on with you guys when he danced around the blue line, working his edges, opening up, and I'm just like, man, this is a nice little player. Like, can we get something out of this guy this year? And it's just been disappointing because I think he hasn't gotten the opportunity that he probably shouldn't have. But at the same time, he hasn't really done himself any favors.
I think when the Oilers are showcasing him, they should send him those highlights from that game.
Yeah.
Nowhere else. Don't send him the one where he steps on the stick and falls or anything like that. Just strictly preseason and just maybe Photoshop a couple of things.
Yeah, be like, hey, no, we trust us. This game's from November, not September.
Yes.
But I mean, we talked, the opportunity. Yeah, it'd be great if the Oilers could just play him for 25 straight games. They played him for 46 last year, though, and we never saw like massive leaps. And the other side of it is a guy like Vinny Desharnais came in and earned that spot. He made the situation so they don't want to take Vinny out of the lineup at all. Broberg, at least in the regular season, never did that, never grabbed the bull by the horns and forced their hand.
100%. It's that old conundrum, right? I remember, which coach was it in Edmonton? Might have been Todd. I wasn't happy about how much I was playing, and I came in and he said, it's the chicken or the egg, man. Do you need to play better in order for me to give you more ice time, or do I have to give you more ice time in order for you to play better? And I always thought I needed more ice time. That was my answer. But at the end of the day, like, you have to do yourself some favors, like young players, especially, but all players in the NHL. I just really don't see enough of them seeing opportunity right in front of their faces when it happens. Like, you don't know going into a game if you are going to get 3 shifts or 23 shifts. So like every shift has to be a goal of yours to chip away at. And you don't know if it's going to be that game and then you're going to be scratched for the next 3. So you really have to look at those things and kind of compartmentalize them, make them smaller in your head. Look one shift at a time, because opportunity is always right in front of these guys. And sometimes I just want guys to reach out and grab it, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So we'll see if anything breaks on this in the next couple of days here. I mean, maybe they can use Broberg as a piece to go get a goalie. We talked about, San Jose is probably one of the few teams around the league who would be sitting there going, yeah, we'll take a stab at him and actually give him some minutes. Maybe there's something there. The other big headline that's been floating around over the last few days is the Jack Campbell thing as well. He played 3 very, very good games down in Bakersfield, had a shutout. Yeah. And then he goes out against Texas, gives up 2 stinkers, goes viral for all the wrong reasons. Again, there still is talk that like, hey, they're going to give him another look at some point here. Do you think that'd be a mistake to give Campbell another chance up here?
Man, I don't know. I think I feel for the guy, right? Because I really like Jack. But I remember, Saturday night, I'm watching a hockey night in Canada, and I love Elliot. I like Fried. Fried's his, a good friend, and I love his stuff. But like, we're in the intermissions of hockey night in Canada, and we're breaking down Jack Campbell's AHL like goals that are being scored against. And I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, is there nothing else around the 32 team league we could talk about right now? And it's just like everything this kid does is under the microscope right now. And I really feel for him in that sense. Like, you'd think, hey, like, let's send him down to Bakersfield, let him feel some pucks, let him play every game, let him feel good. Little did I know, or even think that like every single game and play was going to be analyzed for him there. So it's not like any pressure has been taken off him. And here's another guy too. Like I said, I love Jack, but he's not doing himself any favors. Letting in goals like that against Texas that we saw in the first couple games, really not having great games. But he's played some good hockey. I just don't know what the plan is here with them. I'm assuming that they did everything in their power to shop him around while he was down there, and he just maybe didn't play well enough while he did to make anything happen. Sorry. But now they're saying, I think this is like the final shot, the final straw. And I get it. It's only the second year into a 5-year deal. I mean, you got to give him a couple chances, but just from what we've seen, it's getting tougher and tougher to put him out there.
We should talk about some positives. Should we talk about some positives?
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers are on a 4-game win streak.
4-game heater.
They're on a heater, boys. They're on a heater.
We were firing Woodcroft. Well, he got fired. We were firing Holland, and now everything has changed in a very good way.
Have they shown you anything different over this 4-game winning streak, or is this just the same old Oilers finding their way?
No, man. I think Knob said it perfectly when what he wanted to kind of instill in them is like they're playing free. And in an X's and O's standpoint, I'll kind of break it down 2 things. X's and O's, the penalty kill is like night and day. And I mean, I credit that. I don't want to say it called that, but Mark Stewart was a great defenseman and great penalty killer in Winnipeg. When I played against him when he was in the league, good vet, how many 600 NHL games, something like that. I got to think he's had a huge hand in getting those guys to bear down and execute. You don't see any of these flip clears. Like everything is 200-foot clears, cutting the ice in half, sticks and lanes, like little habits and adjustments. Also not an incredible number of guys getting that opportunity. Like it's a an honor and a badge of honor to get to kill penalties, and guys should really take pride in that. And now you're starting to see the same 3 or 4, call it 5, 6 guys that are going to kill. Not everyone. I think Woody had the tendency of letting everyone kind of take a stab at it. But when you have the same guys taking a lot of pride in it, and as soon as you take a penalty, you're jumping over the boards and you have a job to do, that says a lot. And the other thing I'm seeing is like, I don't know if this is something that Woody didn't want to do, but he didn't do a lot of, was set faceoffs in the D zone and the O zone. I saw 2 goals manufactured out of set faceoffs. It used to drive me nuts. They would win these draws in the D zone and they wouldn't have a plan. They would just kind of, you would stare at each other. You get it. I get it. You get it. The other night, they line Nurse up on the inside, win it straight back. He wheels around. That's called a D wheel. Boom, high flip to speed, and it's a breakaway, and it's in the back of the net. That's off a set play. You know what's happening before the draw. And Sammy Gagne's goal the other night, we called that the Sedin. I don't know if you recognize that one, but that was my first NHL goal. And it's winger sets up on the inside. The center wins it right behind his feet, and all he has to do is tie up the other center. You come around his back. The board side winger goes to the net and just drives traffic. You drive that D in, and all you do is float a shot in there. And that's all Sam did. It's a really simple face-off, but it creates offense, creates a shot opportunity to the net. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes you get a rebound. But I just didn't see that earlier in the season. I didn't see them being prepared or having a plan off face-offs. And that's a cool thing to see. It's like they're on the same page now. And at least you can kind of see that they're working towards that. And it's not like, man, I have no idea what is going on in this face-off and what are they trying? So I think they're playing loose. They're playing free. Credit to Paul Coffey and Mark Stewart taking charge of the D-core back there, playing a little loose but free at the same time. And I'm liking a lot of the things I'm seeing, guys.
Are you surprised to see that such big of a change? I think we all think Woodcroft is a good coach, and I think we all knew the players were going to be better eventually, but with everything you just said, are you surprised to see such a drastic difference in them now in that regard?
To be honest, I am, because when Chris first got hired, I internally thought they were too similar, and I didn't know tons about Knobs, but from what I did and texting guys around the league, I had a buddy that played in Hartford, so I was going back and forth with him about kind of his style, and I was thinking, man, is this the right guy for the job? He just seems way too similar to Jay. But these things take time, right? And I think that was the biggest question I got asked is, when are you going to start to see some of the stuff that he implements like really be prominent in their game? And I said a couple of weeks, just because that's the thing I've noticed over the years. And now you can kind of see some things starting to float together. And, the other thing too, guys, is like, Yeah, a lot of people will get on that decision. I know the fourth line was out in the third period. Vegas, 7 minutes left. They were on for a goal. And guys are like, what is the fourth line doing on at that point? I love that. And he can't go to it every night, but he's rolling all four lines over. And if you want to have a team with depth, we talk depth this, depth that. You have to play your depth. You can't play your fourth line 4 minutes, 5 minutes a night and expect to get depth scoring out of that. So that's what I'm seeing different too. And that's kind of what surprised me too. I didn't know he was going to be that free with rolling the lines. And obviously I'm a biased guy towards fourth line players. They shouldn't have been on for that goal. It was a bit of a mistake, but at least he's throwing them a bone. They had a great game up until that point, and he's going, you know what? I trust you guys. Get out here and do a job for me. So yeah, a bit surprised in some of the differences, but it's been fun to watch, like I said.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I remember when Woody first took over for Tippett, it was like, I think it was Derek Ryan who said like, oh, we actually feel like we have a purpose now. We're actually being told what to do and not just going on the ice for our 6 minutes. And I think you saw that make a difference then. You're kind of seeing a similar thing now. Another guy I wanted to give some love to is Darnell Nurse. I mean, last year, whatever, lightning rod for criticism in this fan base. He's been their best defenseman this year. I don't even think it's close. And he's having a resurgence. He's looking like the Darnell Nurse from that Canadian division year. Like, he handles tough minutes. He consistently plays against the other team's best. And he's cutting out a lot of mistakes from his game that we saw last year. I think this bounce back from Darnell Nurse has been one of the biggest revelations, if not the biggest revelation on that blue line.
Yeah, Nursey's been awesome. And I got the chance to sit down with him this summer for my pod and talk to him, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and was just so impressed at his maturity and the way he's handled things, especially over the years. The criticism he's taken over the years playing there, the contract stuff and this and that. But just a phenomenal human being first and foremost. But on the ice, I think Darnell gets in trouble when he tries to do too much, and it's almost like a good thing. I look at the glass half full there. He's really trying to like carry everyone on his back and like be that leader and be the guy that's going to like play all these heavy minutes and be the guy. But if you just dial him back a bit, I don't want to make this sound bad, but take away some of his responsibility. I think Ekholm's helped with that a lot in sheltering him, taking some of those big minutes. I think Nursey's also great when he's skating, but he's not trying to go too far outside his comfort zone. When you see him wheeling the puck and you see him getting up in plays, that's great. I just don't love the end-to-end stuff all the time, trying to beat guys. But when he plays that right in the middle of those two, it's like the perfect Darnell. And I've really, really loved his game. I couldn't agree with you more. I think he's taken it hard for a while, but you can see there's a sense of calm in his game now. And there's a bit more confidence that he's playing with. And stuff like that, it just turns around karma-wise, right? Winnipeg, he goes down, throws a fluffer shot on net that goes in on Hellebuck. Like, I would have loved a couple of those in my day, but when you put in the hours and you're playing as well as you have, sometimes even under the radar, for shots like that to fall, that'll build for him now. So I think it's only going to continue to trend upward for Darnell.
We had someone ask the question earlier, but obviously you're a Blue Jays guy. Cody wants to know, are you an Ohtani boy? Are you buying into this Ohtani to the Blue Jays hype, or are you staying out of it?
I want to. I just know this. I've been a Jays fan my whole life. I've lived here my whole life. This stuff doesn't happen to us. It's all just smoke and mirrors. I feel like it's all just Ross is just making a push to like make it look like he's doing this, but I don't even know if they're in the running, but man, I would love it. Like, I love how some fans are like talking about how expensive it would be. Like, shut up. It's not your money, man. It's like Rogers is like this big quasi-billion-dollar company. Like, you know how much they're going to make back in revenue and jerseys and merch and all that and advertising. Like, this would be such a cool thing for the Jays. And after the disastrous season of last year, to bring in this guy, like, this would, I mean, I'm getting giddy thinking about it, but I'm also curbing my expectations greatly.
I know. I'm like, it's basically all I talk about in the last 15 minutes of every show is I give my Ohtani update. I want Ohtani so bad, but I know we're getting like Jeimer Candelario or like IKF is our big free agent ad, but whatever. I digress. Luke, thanks for hopping on, man. As always, love having you on the show.
That's my pleasure, boys. Thanks.
There you go. Luke Gazdic for Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Now that he's gone, we can share all the nice comments people have been giving. Tyler Mulick said, God, this is good insight.